What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, as this whole thing about John Jones, what his next move is, whether it be Aspinall, whether it be a super fight with Alex Pereira, we need to cut through all the bullshit, and the takes I've been seeing online have been predominantly, oh, he's scared of Aspinall. That's why he doesn't want to fight Aspinall. Aspinall is the biggest risk to his legacy. Aspinall is the biggest risk to him losing. No, listen, I agree with all of those things, but at the same, except for him being scared of Aspinall, okay? These guys have fought and faced the best competition that the world has to offer. So I don't think these guys have the ability to be scared of someone. Excited, maybe, that you're about to, anxious, maybe, that you're about to do battle with another man. I get that when I'm sparring at my local kickboxing gym, right? But fear and being scared is something completely different. So I want to watch, a couple of videos. The first one, it's just a couple of fighters talking. Jake Shields, Mike Perry are talking about, John Jones, what's next for him, and just, I'm not going to step on the video too much, but I think that we need to get rid of this casual sort of narrative that, oh, he doesn't want to take the fight, so he must be scared. I don't believe that's the case. I think that he's looking for the biggest bag. I think at this point he feels like he's earned the right and earned the opportunity to make as much money as possible, meaning super fights, which is the reason he's called out Alex Pereira versus Tom Aspinall, because Alex Pereira has a bigger name. He could make more money off of that fight right now, okay? But we have been able to see, based on what Dana has said and what John has said also, that if the UFC can come right with this and come right with the amount of money they would offer John Jones for the Tom Aspinall fight, he's okay with that. He's okay with taking the Tom Aspinall fight, but he doesn't want to put that sort of risk on his plate for chump change. And I imagine what his contract states that he will make for his next fight, based on whatever contract he signed several years back, that's not the amount that John sees himself making for this next title defense at heavyweight, or unifying that heavyweight belt after everything else that he's done in the sport, his long history of what he's done in the sport. And I want to say this, all of the people who negate everything that John Jones has done based on the failed PED test, give it a rest. Just give it a rest, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, he's still fighting, right? We're still seeing him. We're still seeing him compete. All of the times that he stepped in there, he was able, based on what the current drug enforcement, and testing regulations were, he was still able to compete and step into the octagon, right? So he's obviously within the confines of whatever the rule set is, as far as the USADA. I know it's not USADA now, the drug testing agency that they're currently using. So leave it alone. We're looking at the guy's skill set. We're looking at his dominance long term, right? And there's been no one, literally no one, not one person, who has even come close to being as dominant throughout the whole duration of their career as John Jones. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this video with Mike Perry and Jake Shields, and then we're going to move on, talk about it a little bit, and then we're going to look at a quick video about John Jones talks with Alex Pereira. Okay? All right, so let's check it out.
So John, he's always taking tough battles. That's the way I see his career. It's like, wow, he's been number one for the last 20 years.
Yeah, for the amount of years, it's insane.
No one ever did it.
It's insane. The guy deserves respect. All these guys running around be like, he's scared of Aspinall. And I'm not trying to disrespect Aspinall. I think he's a great fighter. But if you think John Jones is scared of him, you're out of your mind. He just wants to get paid to fight him. People are clueless, thinking he's playing the strong game of negotiation. If he's like begging to fight the guy, the UFC ain't gonna pay him. If he's like, I don't know, maybe I'll fight him, he can get paid.
I hope it happens and he gets paid great, and he's still the same John Jones that dominates a battle. I hope he wins. Nothing against Aspinall except the people talking for him.
And again, I heard this, and I think all that this affirmed for me is that there's a professional prize fighter's perspective on what's going on with John Jones, and then there's the casual perspective from a person who doesn't fight, has never fought, has never faced another man for money, whatever the case is. At the end of the day, legacy. They're worried about they want to be considered the best. There's a competitive edge and a competitive mindset associated with all of it. Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, especially when you put 20 long years into the sport, being at the very top like John Jones has, you're a prize fighter. At the end of it all, you're a prize fighter, and you want to step away from that sport with an amount of money where you've created generational wealth, not just for you and your children, but possibly even for your own grandchildren, right? And that's what John Jones is wanting to do here, right? So I think it's way less about him being scared of Tom Aspinall, because the more I think about this, and more I think about this from an MMA perspective, the more I'm thinking to myself that I don't know, man. A couple of months ago, I was one of the ones singing the tune that I believe Tom Aspinall beats John Jones. But I've started to look at skills. I've started to look at skill sets. I've started to break things down from an MMA perspective, and looking at the kind of experience and octagon IQ that John Jones has. Obviously, I'm not going to do a full fight breakdown here, but I am absolutely at a point where I'm not sure if Tom beats John. Okay, let me just say that I think there's still a good chance that John Jones would defeat Tom Aspinall. Okay, in spite of what everybody might be saying all over the world and all over the social media and media outlets. Okay. All right. So next thing we're going to do, let's look at this video where it's talking about Alex Pereira and John Jones and kind of their talks about fighting back and forth. And then we're going to put a spin on that as well. So check it out.
Alex Pereira is still interested in fighting John Jones. Alex says that him and John are not friends. However, they have had conversations. He thinks John fighting Tom Aspinall is a much bigger risk, with less to gain. In an interview with Ariel Helwani, translated by Alex's coach Polino Cruz, Alex said, "I'm the champ. I want to fight the champ. Let's make the fight with John Jones. Before John's last fight, we actually talked about fighting. More random talk. Not too much about fighting. He's not a friend or someone I talk with on the regular, but someone I respect. I know he respects me, and there's mutual respect. I think John wants to fight me because of the momentum and the risk. It's a risk fighting Aspinall. There's not a lot to gain there. It's another title fight, but fighting Alex is a much bigger achievement. It's a bigger fight. We saw the fight with Stipe later. It was an impressive win and impressive performance."
All right. Now, to me, when I see this screams to me that, yeah, it's just about the money, bro. I mean, John Jones' legacy as being the greatest, and maybe in some people's eyes, because of the PED use, maybe he's one of the greatest. There's a lot of people out there that just refuse to give him full credit of the greatest of all time, or pound for pound, or whatever, just because they know he had some failed PED tests. Okay? And listen, everybody has a right to an opinion. That is the opinion of some people. Fair enough. Okay? But that aside, his legacy is already written in the stars. His legacy is already etched in stone, right? In the history books of not just the UFC, but MMA, running, ruling, being at the top of the biggest MMA organization ever to exist, the UFC, for as long as he has and be as dominant as he has throughout that process, fighting the top guys in the world. There's been no one. There's been absolutely no one that has done that. Look at this thing with Alex Pereira. This is obviously a money grab situation for him because, and I've said this a million times, that Jon Jones mops the floor with Alex Pereira. The grappling and clinch ability of those two athletes, there is such a huge gap between their grappling levels that I believe that it literally would look like an older brother beating up his little brother. I mean that with 1,000% realness and certainty. Okay, and here's the thing. I believe that Alex believes that too. Now listen, I think you have to have a certain level of delusion to be a world champion fighter. I think that is part of what it takes to become a world champion, is this delusional idea that you are the best, that no one can defeat you. That delusion, I think, is partly what moves you and drives you to be better and better and better, and it drives you to the top, right? So, of course, there's a belief inside Alex Pereira that he can beat Jon Jones. But at the same time, he knows that even if I lose, I've lost before. I mean, it's a win-win for him, no pun intended, because he's lost before anyway. Alex Pereira has taken several losses. Jon Jones, technically, you can call the 12-6 elbow on Matt Hamill the disqualification loss that he took. I absolutely do not consider that a loss. That was a bullshit loss. He was completely dominating that fight. So based on skill alone, technically, he's never lost, right? Alex Pereira, he has lost. So in his mind, he's also looking for that money fight. He knows that that is a scenario where the UFC and the world would pay a huge amount of money to see those two massive names get into an octagon together and decide who is the better fighter on that night. And to Alex Pereira, he's looking at that, and he may have somewhere in the back of his mind, I don't know if I can grapple with Jon Jones. And he'd be right. He can't. And don't get me wrong, there's always a chance that Alex could catch Jon Jones with something and put him out of there. There's always a chance, but do I think for 1 second that he's going to have a chance to do that? No. I think as soon as the fight starts, Jon Jones is going to go straight across the octagon, keep his distance for a couple of seconds, and then as soon as Alex Pereira throws anything, Jon Jones is going to duck under, grab him, throw him down to the mat, and then it's going to be an older brother chastising and beating his little brother up for however long that Jon Jones chooses to let it go after that, right? That's what it's going to be. But again, Alex Pereira, he's lost anyway. He's taken losses. So for him, this is just about the money. For Jon Jones, that fight is about the money. And if you ever have any questions, well, I don't know if it's about the money or not. I think it's more about the legacy. No. Because if it were about legacy only, he wouldn't even be considering fighting Alex Pereira, a guy who has fought his whole career at middleweight and then light heavyweight and will be coming up to heavyweight, a guy who is openly known as this very, very technical striker, but, not that great of grappling. When Jon Jones is known to be the cream of the crop with grappling. Okay? And Jon knows this. Alex knows this. But Jon doesn't care because it's not all about legacy. It's all about making that. Right? So the way I want to close this out is Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones, that is in no way, shape, or form Jon Jones being scared of Tom Aspinall. He just wants the money that he feels like he deserves to take that sort of risk at this level of his career. He feels like he has given enough blood, sweat, and tears to the game of MMA and to the UFC that he has earned the right to say, oh, I want to fight this guy or I want to fight that guy and I want this amount of money to do so, right? You know, much like Floyd Mayweather got to in boxing, right? He has earned that. He feels like he has earned that. And this is not about him being scared of Tom Aspinall. This is about a money play for Jon Jones. He wants to earn generational wealth, and that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you would, please do subscribe to the channel. I would very much appreciate it. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Just subscribe to the channel. It takes you 2 seconds, and then you get to see all of this great content for free. And that's all I ask of you. That's an easy ask. Anyway, that's what I got. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like the video, comment down below, let me know what you guys think about this Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira trifecta we have going on here. I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.